Our amazingly talented Princess Putri Ariani has returned to us once again with a brand new song, and I am so excited to see what she has in store for us. But before we get started, if you really enjoy the content that I post over here on my YouTube channel and you'd like to show me some extra love and support, the best way to do that is to actually go check out exclusive content that I post on my Patreon. And also, if you guys didn't know, I release music also, and I just released a brand new song recently called Tonight. So if you'd like to show me some extra love and support, go ahead and click in the description down below and you'll find the link to my Patreon and the brand new song. If you do, I would greatly appreciate it, and it would mean the absolute world to me. Now, let's go ahead and dive into this and see what Putri has for us as we dive into her brand new song called Love and Prayer. Here we go! Oh, this is already gorgeous. I love it. Wow.
Dengan menyebut namamu yang maha suci, seluruh hambamu memuji, yang mendengar semua doa, maha pencinta.
That was the guy who was in the car, I'm pretty sure. And then this was the guy we saw before who was trying to hand out the papers, it looks like. That's cool. Their paths end up being crossed. Interesting.
Maha pencinta di antara yang mencinta. Kau tempat untuk mencurahkan semua. Paling mengerti apa yang tersembunyi.
Ooh, I don't know who did like the mixing and mastering on this, but the way they placed everything was so well done. Like you can hear like how like her voice and the piano is very much almost in like the forefront, if you will, but then like almost in like my right side off to like almost in the corner, it feels like you can hear the I can't tell which instrument that is. I know it's a string instrument. It sounds like it could be. It doesn't sound like it's a violin. It could maybe be a cello, but I feel like a cello is a little bit deeper than that. But there's some kind of stringed instrument over here. That's almost like a little farther back in like the right side, almost like behind me in a way. I think that's like how they kind of did the spatialness to make it feel like you're almost like there in like almost a live setting or however you want to describe it. But yeah, it's really, really well done. Whoever did this really did the spatial placement really well.
Siapa yang tersembunyi, yang merajai segala.
Actually, the piano sits right directly behind her vocal. It's really nice.
Semua karena kasihmu. Ya Allah, tuntunlah kami di jalan yang lurus. Jalan yang sungguh engkau ridhoi. Ketika perintahmu selalu terlaksana, disitulah janjimu menunggu. Ketika benci luruh oleh kasih sayang.
I like this line a lot. When hate is melted by love. That's a really cool line. I like that a lot because it's not so much like the idea of saying like, oh, it's like love is always like stronger than hate. Like they're saying like love has the ability to eradicate hate in a way. Like to say like it's melting is such a strong word. Like you're basically almost like, you know, dissipating it away. Like it's not the idea of like love is over hate. It's almost like love is dissipating hate and getting rid of it, which is really cool. I like the way that that's worded. Really, like, wow, that's awesome.
oleh kasih sayang, hubungan baik dan juga saling peduli.
I think I'm kind of starting to get it now, actually. I'm kind of seeing like the juxtaposition here of like, you have the guy who's, you know, almost got it all, if you will, where he's working his 9 to 5, he, you know, has a car and is driving to work and whatnot, and he's going through almost like the stresses of, you know, having money, if you will, and you would think that like, oh, somebody like that would be happier and be able to live life more freely. Excuse me. And just be able to have everything he wants in life, if you will. But you see this older gentleman here who was trying to just make money just by selling newspapers. And you could see him just having such a really close relationship with God, obviously, as he was praying before on the mat, that I know is something very, you know, common, very much a part of this culture of, it might be, I can't tell, I don't want to assume. It looks like almost like Indonesian, but I can't tell. But regardless, you see almost like he seems happier with his life, not really having anything except for a relationship with God, it seems like, and the little bit of money maybe he makes from the, you know, papers. Whereas the other guy, he's making money and he's making a living, but he seems so miserable and stressed out. And you see that all these people just throwing papers at him. He was getting yelled at from what looks like his boss earlier and stuff. So it's almost like the idea of like, you know, money really doesn't bring you happiness. You know, this older gentleman here is happy as a clam, just having a close relationship with God and just, you know, kind of making meets end, if you will. And I think that's kind of like the story here is like, you know, having that close relationship with God and almost, you know, living a more carefree life, if you will, outside of the stresses of that 9 to 5 job life. You're almost going to be maybe happier in a way. And I think that's kind of almost like going in line with what we read in scripture too, where, you know, you hear so many different stories from, you know, the Bible of, you know, people that were sometimes just happy with what they had and whatnot, whereas people that were greedy and had a lot of money end up really being more miserable. And I think it's kind of like what they're going for here, I think, with this story almost in this music video. It's really cool, actually.
Dan juga saling peduli. Disitulah hidup terasa sungguh berarti. Karena janji Allah itu pasti.
This is cool. I love how she's almost kind of what's the word I want to say? She's almost showing acceptance, if you will, I guess, to almost all religions by saying, at first she was saying Allah, which is obviously more of like the Muslim, you know, God, if you will, in a way. I mean, same God, but like Muslims, you know, tend to call God Allah, whereas now she's saying because God's promise. You know, so now she's saying God as in like what, you know, Catholics or Christians might call, you know, would actually call him. So I kind of like that she's really including everybody's idea and perspective of who God is or what you would call him. So that's really cool. I love that she's very accepting, it seems like, of both sides of, you know, the religions, I guess.
Kau tempat untuk mencurahkan semua. Paling mengerti apa
just seems so
yang
miserable.
tersembunyi.
See this guy's with his family,
Yang
laughing, having a good time.
merajai segala yang terjadi. Semua karena kasih-Mu.
Her voice is magnificent.
Tuntunlah kami di jalan yang lurus, jalan yang sungguh Engkau ridhoi. Ketika
Okay, we're gonna go back because she's just absolutely crushing it right now, and this song is just getting even better and better. But that was such a really cool moment. This guy is almost in the exact same position as this gentleman, but almost maybe even worse off because he's out just picking up trash. I guess maybe trying to make a little bit of money just from picking up trash on the streets. And this older gentleman that got the money originally from the guy with the, stressful job, it seems like, just gave him that $20 that he's been holding on to. He hasn't even used it yet, but he saw this guy needed it more. This is so cool. This is such an amazing music video, an amazing song, and an amazing message. This is what I love about Putri. She's amazing in everything she does. What? He recognized him. Because God's promise is certain. Love that. Shout out to everybody who did like something in this video. Yeah, massive shout out to everybody that came together to make this video possible. I think this is one of her most powerful, not only songs, but even music videos in all honesty. Because she really it's one of those things where she's almost tapping into something that maybe a lot of people don't always want to talk about or express. Unfortunately, we live in a world right now where it's almost like discouraged that we have our own opinions for some reason, depending on who you're talking to. So it's just sometimes easier just to kind of avoid at all times. But what I really love is that Putri has kind of just completely just said, you know what? This is what... Excuse me, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm still battling a cough when I had the flu last week. Putri is out here saying, you know what? This is what I believe in. I believe that God is a path for us all. I believe that God is the way. I believe that God is the truth. And I believe that God's mercy will lead us to eternal happiness. And I think shows with the difference between the older gentleman who has seems like at least, that he has a very close relationship with God. And even though he has very little, he seems almost happier with his life. And he seems more content, if you will, with the life he's been given. Whereas the other man on the other, opposite side was, stressed out, working 9 to 5, and you think that, he's making great money, so he's going to be able to afford better food and a better house and blah, blah, blah. But in the grand scheme of things, he might have that money and he might be living in a better house and be able to eat better food, and obviously has a car he can drive. But just because you have money, just because you have, nice things, if you will, doesn't mean you're going to be happy. I think it's that idea of saying, like I said, mentioned before, money does not always equal or give you happiness. Now, I'm a firm believer in money can help you to get to happiness, because if you take money and you use it for a better being, if you, like, for example, if I've always said that, if let's say, for example, I just got super lucky and I happen to win the lottery or something like that. At the end of the day, I'm not keeping all that money. I don't need all that money. If I go even win like $1 million on the lotto, I don't need all that money. Like, I'll probably use some of it to like pay off some bills I have and some like debt that I want to take care of and whatnot. And maybe, give some to like my family and friends or whatnot who might be really needing that kind of money. But like 90% of that, I'm probably gonna give that to charity because somebody needs it more than I do, and that's just my beliefs. That's just who I would be. So I'm a firm believer in that money can ultimately be used for the greater good, but when it's used for greed and for just being able to be like, haha, I have a lot of money, so I have a nice car and a nice house and blah blah blah. That's when it's not good. So that's when the idea of saying that the person with a close relationship with God and living off of what they have versus somebody who is, working their ass off and whatnot, but stressed out and, using their money for greed, if you will, and just trying to have the nicest things possible, you're going to see that major difference. But anyways, I'm going on too much, basically. I'll finish off by saying is I admire Putri for creating such a very powerful song here that everybody can really relate to, because like I said, she was really tapping into the sides of people that say God versus Allah. So kind of showing appreciation to those who might praise God as a Muslim versus somebody who praises God as a Catholic or a Christian or something like that. So really cool that she did that, and really just basically making a very religious song, basically encouraging people to have a relationship with God, because God is the way, God is the path, God is the truth, whatever you want to say. And I'm a firm believer in that. So I really can show great appreciation for someone like Putri to be able to make a song like this. An even cooler story to associate with the music video too. But anyways, guys, with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and drop a like, subscribe to the channel by clicking down below. I'll go ahead and play some reaction plays for Putri Ariani over here, and you can check the most recent reaction already over here. As always, thank you all so much for watching and showing the support, and I will see you all in the next video. Alright guys, bye!